So we are over a month into the 2024 draft classes rookie season, and I wanted to grade every first round pick so far in this league. And this is just going to be relative to expectations so far. If you agree or disagree with my grade type, please let me know down below. This is just my opinion. If you do enjoy these type of videos, I'd appreciate you dropping a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. So we'll start off with the number 1 overall pick, Zachary Rissache. It's a good place to start. And I actually think Zachary Rissache has been exceeding at least my expectations this year. I'm going to give him a B so far. At the end of the day, yes, I'd like Rissache to be a little bit more efficient with his 3-point shot. I'd like him to be a little bit higher up in the rookie of the year ladder, but I think he's been just fine for a class that had a ton of variance at the top. So far this year, he's averaging around 11.5 points, 3.5 rebounds, and he's shooting 41% from the field and 38% from three. But I think the off-ball ability looks good. He's actually been playing pretty well over his last few games where he's been scoring in the double digits a little bit more frequently, and he's also averaging around a block and steal a night. And I think that's the big factor for Rissache getting a B relative to maybe a C because of his down shooting splits, is because of the off-ball ability defensively that he's been providing this team around Trae Young. And I think that's just a step in the right direction around Trae Young and the reason why they took Rissache number 1 overall. So yeah, I'm going to give him a B. For Alex Sarr, I'm going to be giving him a D+. Yeah, I was very high on Sarr going into this draft, and you guys knew that. So I was very high about Sarr going into this draft, and honestly, he's been pretty much as expected defensively. I think he's had his moments, and he's showing the potential that he can have as one of the better rim protectors in this league. But at times, I'm noticing the physicality disparity between him and some veteran bigs in this league. I think he's been fine as a defender, but the Wizards themselves have not been a good defensive team. But Sarr on offense has been slightly disappointing. He's shooting 37% from the field and 24% from three on 4.5 attempts a night. He's still taking 4, 5, 6 threes a game, and it is not working. Brian Keefe and this Wizards front office needs to tell him to stop taking threes. That is not going to help his development this year. He needs to work on his post presence, his inside scoring. I think he's getting into foul trouble too much sometimes on defense as well, turning the ball over a little bit more than I would like, but he's been a good shot blocker. I'm seeing the flashes there, but I think overall Alex Sarr has been disappointing because I thought he could still end up in the rookie of the year conversation. And this is a guy that played in the overtime elite, over in a good league in the NBL, and I think this year has just been not a good offensive big man for someone that's 7 feet tall. Reed Sheppard, I'm actually going to give a D+ so far, and I don't think Reed Sheppard has gotten a fair shot with consistent playing time this year, which makes sense. The Rockets have a deep team, and they are one of the best teams in the Western Conference. He's appearing in around like 6, 7, 8, sometimes 9 or 10 minutes a night, but he has not been taking advantage of this opportunity. He has been pretty inefficient with the shots he's taking, and I feel like at times does not have the confidence as a 3-point shooter we saw last year at Kentucky or in the Summer League. He's shooting just 37% from the field and 33% from three. I almost gave him an incomplete or a C because he hasn't played too many meaningful minutes, but I feel like he's just not taking advantage of this opportunity. And Reed Sheppard was one of the more polished players coming into this draft. Hopefully he just sees more consistent playing time going forward. And I'm going to be harsh on Reed Sheppard because he's one of my favorite guys in this class, and I have one of the highest expectations for him. For Stephon Castle, I'm going to give him a B-. Castle got off to a rough start, and his efficiency still doesn't look great. He's shooting 38% from the field, 28% from three, and 72% from the line. He's averaging around 11.5 points, 2.5 rebounds, 3.7 assists this year. He is averaging just under a steal a night, but I have liked what Castle has done defensively. And if you look at his stretch over his last 13 games, he is shooting 41% from the field, 32% from three, and averaging 15 points and 5 assists. And I feel like he's becoming more confident in his shot, more comfortable on the floor, playing with Wemby and Chris Paul and Vassell coming back from injury. And this is with and without Jimmy Shohan at times as well. And I think it's just going to be more consistent for Castle over the rest of the year. So I'm giving it a B- relative to everything he's done so far. But I think by the end of the year, this is going to be potentially an A-. For Ron Holland, I'm going to give him a D+. I like what I see from Ron Holland on the defensive end of the floor. And this is what I saw at the G League Ignite last year. But it's just the offensive struggles. This is where I need to see him excel at, and he has not shown too much progression so far as a rookie on the offensive end. He's playing around 15 minutes a night. He did play over 20 minutes against the Sixers and the Grizzlies recently, and the Grizzlies game was probably one of his better games of the year, but he's up to 5.5 points on the season. He still has the tunnel vision he had last year with the Ignite. He's averaging under an assist per game. He's averaging 3 rebounds a night, shooting 41% from the field. The 3-point shot is struggling, shooting 14% from three, and that's something that struggled last year for Holland. And I still think it's going to come around. I would just say I haven't seen too much to convince me otherwise offensively. For Tidjane Salaün, I'm going to give him a C. He's still one of the more raw prospects in this draft, and I expected that. I thought it was a little bit of a reach to take him at 6, but we shouldn't really judge him too much throughout his sample size so far. 19 games into his NBA career, and he didn't really have too much playing time before all these injuries happened for Charlotte, where Grant Williams is out for the year, LaMelo Ball got injured, and he's been playing over 20 minutes a night consistently, and the threes have been falling at times. He had a good 3-point shooting game against the Miami Heat and against the New York Knicks. He's up to 5 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist on the year. And I like the confidence that he has in his three-point shot. And I think that earns him a C so far this year. I just don't think I could put it too much higher than this because I don't think he's exceeding my expectations so far. I knew that this was going to be somewhat of a process. I'm going to give Donovan Clingan a B+. I would like to give him an A-. I would just like to see him be a little bit more aggressive on the offensive end of the floor, but this is what he has to do. He's playing behind DeAndre Ayton and Robert Williams at times where he's in and out of the lineup because of health, but Clingan has been a great rim protector for the Blazers when he's on the floor this year. He's averaging 2.2 blocks per 17 minutes across of 17 games. His blocks per 36 would be at 4.6 a night. He can be an elite rim protector in this league. I just want to see him start more. I know this could eventually happen throughout the rest of the season. I would also like to see him work on the foul troubles as well, but he's been a good inside presence for Portland, and I think he's been one of the better rookies this year. He's just not going to be talked about enough because he's only appearing in around 17 minutes a night because of all the big men that are on this Trailblazers squad. I'm going to give Rob Dillingham an incomplete. I don't think he's played too meaningful of minutes so far this season. He's currently dealing with an ankle injury. He was basically the last top 10 pick to play this year. He didn't play a single game in October. His first game was against the Spurs on November 2nd. He appeared in 3 minutes. He only has played more than 10 minutes twice this year against the Celtics and against the Rockets, and he did score double figures in those games, and then he just played 5 minutes the next game against the Kings. His minutes have been super inconsistent this year from Chris Finch, and I think this Timberwolves team as a whole has not had the responsibility of developing a player drafted as high as Robert Dillingham in quite some time. It's basically been since Anthony Edwards in 2020, and they got to figure out how to get him more acclimated into this team, especially when they were struggling, because it's going to ruin the confidence of Dillingham. It's going to get him out of the rhythm he had last year at Kentucky, where he could be that microwave scorer for you off the bench. But I'm going to give Zach Edey an A. I think he's been good so far for Memphis. Edey has been a serviceable and productive big man for the Memphis Grizzlies this year. He has been dealing with an ankle injury as of late, which is kind of concerning because Edey, with his size, can be prone to some lower body injuries that could hurt his NBA career. But so far, he's averaging 11 points, 7 rebounds, shooting 61% from the field, and is averaging around a block and steal a night. He could learn something from Jaren Jackson Jr. when he was a younger player in this league about getting into foul trouble, but I think Edey has been a productive big man in 20 minutes a night, because if you look at his per 36, it would be 20 points, 12.5 rebounds. I just don't know if we're going to ever see him play that much because there's a lot of players to play in Memphis, but I think Edey has been good so far. Just in hindsight, though, I would have loved to see Memphis jump Portland during the draft to get Donovan Clingan, because Clingan on this team would just, I think, be a little bit more exciting. I'm going to give Cody Williams a D. I'm not going to give him an F. I think it'd be pretty unfair to give any of these rookies an F so far, but Cody Williams has actually played some decent minutes this year because Utah's had a ton of injuries. I know they've been inconsistent, but he's been pretty inefficient. He's shooting 26% from the field, 18% from 3. He's averaging 3 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist on the season. I think he could benefit of just getting some G League run. They did the same thing with Bryce Sensabaugh at one point last year. I think Cody Williams could probably benefit playing with the Salt Lake City Stars throughout a decent part of this season. I'm going to give Montas Buzelis a B-. I wish he had more consistent playing time as well, but that has been a noticeable trend with this rookie class. He had a great game against Brooklyn recently where his three-point shot was falling. He had the confidence there. The confidence inside, I thought, was being physical on the boards, had a couple nice block shots, and this is the player that Buzelis can be for Chicago, and he just turned 20 years old recently. He's still super young in this league. I'd like to see him play more than 11 minutes a night, but I think relative to playing time, he's been a productive rookie so far. I just need Chicago to make some trades sooner than later so we can see Buzelis play more than 25 minutes a night for the rest of the season. Not going to talk about Nikola Topic. He hasn't played yet for the OKC Thunder, or Devin Carter for the Sacramento Kings. I don't really think the Thunder need Topic to play right now, but the Kings could definitely use a player like Devin Carter, and I don't think he's coming back till after the new year. Bub Carrington has been a fun player to watch with the Washington Wizards. I'm going to give him a B+. He's been a shifty scoring guard, averaging 9 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. I think he's playing in that combo guard role really well. He's shooting 40% from the field, 35% from 3, and 80% from the free throw line. He's not been the best offensive rookie, but I'd say he's been a top 5 offensive rookie so far, and he's currently in a terrible environment in Washington. They can't win any games right now. I think Carrington can improve on the defensive end of the floor, but I would say this is encouraging for someone that was taken with the last pick in the lottery. I can't really talk about Kel'el Ware. He just really hasn't played a ton this year. He's appeared in 10 games, 7 minutes a night, and watching the guys that we're going to get to after Kel'el Ware, the 2 players that were drafted after him, that Miami could definitely use instead of a backup center to their all-star center that's going to be playing most of the minutes per night at the center position in Bam Adebayo. So I don't know where the path is for Kel'el Ware to play 20 plus minutes a night ever, unless him or Bam really becomes much of a floor spacer and they can play them two together, because you can't really play these two non-shooting big man. So I don't really know what Miami was thinking, because we're going to give out our first A+, and that is Jared McCain of the Philadelphia 76ers. McCain, freshman last year at Duke, a little bit older for a freshman and a rookie this year, as he's going to be 21 years old at the end of the year, but he has been undoubtedly the best rookie in my opinion. 16th overall pick too, just makes it look a little bit better for a team that wants to win the title this year. I mean, the 76ers have their own issues, but Jared McCain has made them somewhat watchable. Through 19 games, he's averaging 16 points, 2.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, but he is an elite three-point shooter for somebody that's playing his first year in the league. He's shooting 46% from the field, 37% from three, 90% from the free throw line as well. And since he's been playing notable minutes since November 8th, he's averaging 21.5 points and shooting 39% from three on 8.5 attempts a night. He looks like a seasoned veteran already. He has ultra confidence in his three-point shot. He can attack closeouts. He can finish at the rim. And McCain has just been super entertaining to watch. Obviously, I'd love for him to be a little bit better on the defensive end of the floor, but I am nitpicking heavily with that statement. So him and Maxey are going to be super fun to watch offensively throughout the rest of the year. And I hope he doesn't get thrown down on the bench too much, because he did play 21 minutes against the Hornets, and they should be playing him 30 minutes a night. And then probably the second best rookie so far. It makes sense since he's 23 years old. He was a super senior last year at Tennessee, and that is Dalton Knecht of the LA Lakers. Since Knecht is older at 23, I'm going to give him an A relative to McCain's A+, but still, that is a great grade for somebody that was selected 17th overall, and he's probably second or third in the rookie of the year talks. Through 21 games, Knecht is averaging 11.5 points, 3.5 rebounds, and is shooting 47% from the field, 41% from three on 5.5 attempts a night. And since Knecht started playing notable minutes on November 13th, he's averaging 16.5 points and shooting 47% from three. He's a physical rebounder as well. I'd like for him to be a little bit better of a passer, and I think could improve defensively. I don't know if he's going to improve much since he's already 23 years old, and he wasn't a great defender last year at Tennessee, but he is an offensive spark plug for this LA Lakers team. I think the Heat are showing some maybe early regret that they didn't draft Jared McCain or Knecht and drafted Kel'el Ware, a backup center, instead. Next up, we have the 18th overall pick, Tristan da Silva of the Orlando Magic. And I was worried about da Silva coming here because they have a lot of wings, and I didn't think he was going to get too much playing time this year, but then Paolo Banchero gets hurt, and we've been seeing him play over 25 minutes a night throughout his last 17 games, and he's averaging around 7.5 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, shooting 39% from the field and 31% from three. I'm going to give da Silva a C. I think he's been thrown into the fire a little bit and is asked to do way more than he expected, or maybe the Orlando Magic expected. He is 23 as well, like Dalton Knecht, so I'm worried on how he's going to look in these high volume roles, but overall in the season, he's shooting 41% from the field and 34% from three. If he could just shoot the three ball a little bit better, I'm going to like da Silva's game for the long haul. Jacoby Walter, I'm going to give a C/incomplete. He did start off the year in the G League. He has played a little bit more minutes as of late, and I think he's bringing some high intensity to this Toronto Raptors offense. He's up to 5.5 points on the year, 3.5 rebounds, 33% from the field and 20% from three. He was a streaky shooter last year at Baylor, but I'm trusting this Darko Rajakovic system with Jacoby Walter because they're getting a lot out of some of their young players this year, and I just hope he's consistently up with the big time roster and not going back and forth between the Raptors G League team. And for Jalen Tyson on the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'm going to give him an incomplete. He hasn't played too many meaningful minutes either. He did have one notable minute game where they had a plethora of injuries against the Pelicans, and this was a great chance for him just to get shots up because that Pelicans team was depleted as well with injuries, and he had 16 points, 11 rebounds, shot 58% from the field, and I hope we see more minutes consistently with Tyson throughout the rest of the season because I think he can be a contributing rotational piece for this team that's trying to win a title this year. I'm going to give Yves Missi an A. Yeah, I think he's exceeding expectations. This team has no center depth whatsoever. He's been thrown into the fire, and I think he's been a productive big man for the Pelicans so far with the 21st overall pick. He brings a lot of energy. He's a good rim protector. He's a fantastic rebounder as well. And over Yves Missi's last 11 games, 10 of those in which he started, and in 27 minutes, he's averaging 12 points, 10 rebounds, a block a night, and is shooting 62% from the field. I think the Pelicans found their rim runner, rim protecting big man that can also set some good screens as well. Not going to talk about Deron Holmes of the Denver Nuggets. Obviously, he's been out for the year, and AJ Johnson really hasn't played meaningful minutes for the Milwaukee Bucks. Still have no idea why they drafted him with the 23rd overall pick. Ton of talent after him that could have been more contributing for this team this year, as Giannis, Brook Lopez, Middleton, Dame. These guys are not getting any younger. Still have no idea why they took a project player with the 23rd overall pick. Like, this team could use a Ryan Dunn right now. I don't know what the Milwaukee Bucks front office was thinking. For Keyshawn George, I'm going to be giving him a C. Like the Bub Carrington, Alex Sarr talks, he's been thrown into one of the worst environments this year, but at least he's getting a lot of shots up. His efficiency, though, is taking a hit because of that. He's shooting 33% from the field, 24% from three, 73% from the line, averaging 7.5 points, 4 rebounds, and 2.5 assists. I will say, though, Keyshawn George, he's 6'7". He's got good size. He's still 20 years old. I like his playmaking ability. I like his defensive potential that we saw last year at Miami. We just need that shot to come around, and hopefully the efficiency is a lot better in the second half of his rookie season. But Kobe Dadiet hasn't really played too much for the Knicks, just in spurts at certain times, and he's been up and down from the G League. Same with Dylan Jones in OKC. His minutes have been super inconsistent this year. They've actually been playing AJ Mitchell in the second round a little bit more. Terrence Shannon Jr., I don't know why he hasn't been playing a lot for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He had a really cool dunk the other night, but he's only appeared in 5 games this year and is averaging about 4 minutes in those games. He's pretty much a garbage time player for the T-Wolves. I don't get it. He's 24 years old. What are you waiting for? I'm going to give Ryan Dunn a B. Everybody wanted to talk about how much of a steal this was to start off the year. The three-point shot is regressing to what we expected it to be. No way he was just going to randomly turn into a 40% three-point shooter after the sample size we saw at Virginia and in the preseason. But I still think he's providing this team plus defense, and that's exactly why you take him in the first round. I'd love to see him on the Knicks instead of Bakomi Dadiet. This Knicks team is still inconsistent on the defensive end of the floor, and they could use somebody like Ryan Dunn. So I still think this is a positive pick for the Phoenix Suns. Isaiah Collier, he's going to get like a similar grade to Cody Williams at D+. He's not taking advantage of an opportunity maybe he didn't think he was going to have this much playing time to start off the year. The Jazz have been arguably the worst team in the NBA, at least the worst team in the Western Conference, or at least right there with the New Orleans Pelicans, and Collier is averaging 3 points, 1.5 rebounds, 3 assists per night, 32% from the field, 13% from 3, 43% from the line. This does not look like the player that I was watching at USC last year. And I think he's just forcing shots at times because he wants to prove to this Jazz team that he should be a staple rotational piece. But maybe that's going to become less of a concern for him after the deadline when they trade off some of their veterans. And the last first round pick, Baylor Shireman of the Boston Celtics, really hasn't played too much this year. And I've been impressed by some second round picks like Jonathan Mogbo, Kyle Filipowski, the 31st pick to the Raptors and 32nd pick to the Utah Jazz. I've liked what I've seen in spurts from Tyler Kolek to the New York Knicks. I think Jalen Wells, Oso Ighodaro, KJ Simpson, Jamal Shed, Pele Larson have all shown some flashes this year. So yeah, that is pretty much me grading every first round pick so far throughout their rookie season. Let me know if you're disappointed or some of these players are exceeding expectations so far for you down below, and drop a thumbs up if you guys would like to see a version of this maybe at the mid-season mark or definitely at the end of the season. So thank you all for watching. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.